All right, and so we're live this Wednesday, good Wednesday evening, Wednesday, September. What is this? Is today the 7th? Yeah, the 7th of September. Hope you all are doing well. Those who may not know, if you're watching this on a live, on a replay, on someone else's page, my name is Kimon Hines, and I help people bring ideas to life, help you take the knowledge, the expertise, the things that you know how to do, your experiences, the things that you're good at, and help you turn it into businesses, into products, services, and ways to increase your income and impact. So, all right, listen, I'm excited about today. I've been wanting to do this interview for a while, and I'm glad we're able to coordinate it today. And I think the timing is perfect. So, as you're coming on, do me a favor, just drop it in the comments where you're watching this from, and let's get ready to have a conversation about how to defeat type 2 diabetes and find your purpose on the other side of it, right? How to defeat type 2 diabetes. Now, I've had people on here who've shared different things, right? Different levels of expertise, people who have helped men win in the things that matter, help people with their finances. We had Ase on recently to talk about burnout recovery. And so last week had someone talk about how to invest in land, right? There are really like three big areas that we talk about when I come on with these lives. They're either finances, right? How to improve with your money and wealth. It's relationships, how to be better in the relationships with the people that matter to us. And then also health. And so someone said they're in their kitchen. Um, we're going to be talking about health today, and I'm excited to have Miss Barbara Samuel. I'm going to bring her up now. Miss Barbara Samuel with us. Barbara and I got a chance. I met Barbara last year, and we've been working together. I've had a chance to see her work in action. And Barbara, so glad to have you on this evening with us.
Thank you so much. It's always my pleasure, Kimon. Always my pleasure.
Awesome. So, Barbara's, we're going to take a little bit of a journey to understand her story. You kind of heard a little bit about type 2 diabetes. And so, if you know anyone who might even might be having a challenge with this or has a family member, you want to tag them in, you want to share this with them because I think the information Barbara's going to share is life changing. I know it's life changing. So, make sure that you let somebody know about this. All right, so Barbara, give us a little bit of a background. You could tell us kind of like where you're from and also kind of about your work background. Share with us a little bit about your work background.
Well, first and foremost, my professional background is I'm a registered nurse.
Okay.
Been a registered nurse for almost 30 years. Worked in different areas of the world, from England to Jamaica, and now I'm here. Um, and my passion, of course, has always been to serve people. And as a nurse, I always seek to serve people so that I can help them to heal. And so this is where my whole story began, in that um, I got sick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I realized I had hypertension at a very young age. My kids were like 5 and 6. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, am I going to be with this disease for a long time? Moving forward, the Lord would have it that I was able to cure myself following natural healing principles of hypertension, got off all my meds and stuff. And hypertension is very important in my family, because my father had a stroke, my brother at 40 had a stroke, left him paralyzed. So it was not something to be played with when he came knocking on my door in
Mm-hmm.
my 30s, right? So moving forward, that's gone. And then my husband diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And I saw my big, strong husband basically almost became powerless to a
Mm.
disease that is like he couldn't fight. And he was doing everything the doctors were telling, but it seemed like his condition was getting worse. And being a nurse and a nurse leader, I thought, you know what, I can do this. I'm going to help you. I know all the book things that I've learned in my 20 odd years. But then I realized that wasn't going to work. It didn't help. As a matter of fact, his condition got worse. And then I had to go back to the truth of what I knew work and healing from the inside out. And so we started on the journey. And in less than 3 months, he was off all his medication. He had lost 38 pounds. His type 2 diabetes was completely reversed. And so my whole life changed. Like,
Mm.
I was no longer comfortable watching a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old with a stroke, with a heart attack, on dialysis, losing a limb, knowing that the system that I've promoted and that I've loved over the years was not giving them the full opportunity to restore health.
Hmm.
And so now my journey, I was working as a nurse manager. I started looking through different lenses, and became uncomfortable because now I realized there was a way, and it was not this way. There was a way that if you are willing and able, and if you want the healing, it can come to you. And so that's where I branched out and decided to pursue my dream of helping people heal. I mean, prior to this, after helping my husband, I was helping friends and families, and everybody just get better, and decided I want to offer it. I don't want to look at people in their 40s with a stroke, on dialysis, losing a limb from a disease that I know was reversible. So that's where my journey started.
All right. Oh yeah. So we're gonna get into a whole lot more and unpack what you're sharing. So those of you who've been just joining, talking with Barbara Samuels, as you heard, her background being a nurse for over 30 years, but facing her own health challenge with hypertension, putting natural practices, natural principles into practice, and seeing the results. And then now her husband, right? Your husband facing type 2 diabetes, and you saw what was happening to him. How far back is this? Like, how long are we talking about when your husband was facing type 2 diabetes, and you worked with these principles to help him to recover?
So this is going back now about 6 going on 7 years,
Okay.
6 going on 7 years that he has. As a matter of fact, it's about 6 years fully that you can say that he has reversed his condition and just living life above type 2 diabetes.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's the title of your work, is Life Above Type 2.
hmm
Um I mean, like, just share with us, why do you call it that? Like, what even made you come up with that name, Life Above Type 2?
Well, the reason I came up with that name, it's one of the principles that I hold dear, that the one who created us, he wish above all things, that we prosper and be in good health. And so he wants us to live life and live it to the fullest, above all the challenges that we face. So when we succumb to a circumstances or a situation or a health challenge, I believe we're living below our full potential. We're living below it because now we no longer control, but the disease or the situation is in control of us. So when I thought about that, I said, people need diabetes will always be around. But do you have to live under it, or do you take
Mm,
dominance
that's
over
good.
it as you are supposed to be? I
Yeah.
mean, just like how you'll always have evil as long as we're on this earth, just as how you'll always have the hot and the cold. They're always, but where do you choose to live?
Yeah.
And so I wanted people to live life above it. That is not that diabetes, it's like anything else. If you put your hand in a hot water and the water is hot, it's going to burn you,
Hmm.
right? But how do you live life above that so that you are not a victim, but a victor? So that's
Yeah.
where I came from.
You know, there's a statement. I remember someone say, "I'm doing well under the circumstances," and someone said, "Well, why do you have
Mhm.
to be under the circumstances?" Right? Like,
Oh,
yeah, live above. I love that. So we're talking with Barbara, and if you're coming on here, you have questions, maybe you are even challenged with this, or someone else. Like, if you have any questions, just put them in the chat, because we don't often get an opportunity to talk to a health coach who has helped people to live above type 2 and defeat type 2 diabetes. And really, what we want to get into is how you took that painful, that challenging experience, and then found purpose out of it. Because
mhm.
it's so easy for us to, when we've come past something, when we've overcome, when we've gotten through a situation, to just kind of like forget the lessons of it, or to not want to revisit that. Right? So what was it that made you, like you said, you alluded to it a little bit earlier, but you went from, okay, I helped my husband, to now I'm helping people, like this is my purpose, this is my calling. How do you kind of make that transition, Barbara, from just helping one person, your husband, to then
Mhm.
begin expanding this, and now you've helped tens of people, like there's people,
Mhm.
dozens of people who you've helped with this?
hmm So, I mean, even after I helped my husband, I was still working in the hospital system. I was working at the time as a nurse manager, and I was still working. But then COVID came around.
Mm,
COVID came around, and what really hit me to the core is that I was by this time in the intensive care unit, right? And it's almost as though in the middle of COVID, when it just started, it's every time you're here in the hospital, you hear code blue on the
mm,
COVID unit, code blue, code blue. And it's like every time I go to the ICU where it is, it's always an individual who had hypertension, diabetes, who was dying. And I noticed that it's not just what the news says, but now I was facing young people dying from who could have maybe overcame this disease, but because their immunity was so compromised. Type 2 diabetes is a disease that causes widespread inflammation in the body,
mhm.
and COVID thrive in an inflammatory state.
Okay.
So I was seeing so many people dying. And every time I looked at the chart, type 2 diabetes, out of
Mm,
control, type 2 diabetes, dialysis patient, my heart just, I remember I just, one day I stood there and I felt like tears were running down my eyes. I was like, this is not right.
mhm.
This is not right.
Yeah.
And I felt like, God had given me this, and I love teaching, and in the role that I was able to share with people. Like, I find that I'm able to reach people at a level where most people were not able to. So that was a gift that God had given me. And I realized that I was able to get people to see past their circumstances and take meaningful action towards a better them. And so I realized that I wasn't comfortable anymore. And I remember sitting at my desk, and as I was thinking about what I'm going to do, and it just was becoming to a point, and I heard a voice said, it's as though I heard something say, if you're waiting for this water to open, it's not going to
Mm,
help you. You have to put your foot in the water.
wow. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. That's a that's that Joshua story with
Yes,
them
it's like
crossing
you
over
have
the
to
Jordan.
put your foot in the water
Yeah.
before you cross. And so I took a step of faith and decided that I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to see people live and not die, and overcame,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that's what we were supposed meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah, so good. For people of faith, as you heard Barbara say that there's so many decisions we have, and a lot of times we do want the sea to be open, the dry land, and almost for God to send a car, a train to drive through that dry land for us. But as you said, sometimes it's stepping in the water and getting your feet wet that causes you
Mhm.
to see the confirmation in the step God is calling you to take. But
Mhm.
Barbara, were there any times when, okay, you gain your background as a nurse, 30 years, nurse manager. So you've attained a certain level of expertise and experience there. But going into now working specifically in this one area, just talk about, were there any doubts you had to share that information and to begin offering your coaching and offering your expertise? Were there any times when you said, okay, you know what, who's going to believe me? Maybe I need another this, or because a lot of people who are watching this, as they think about sharing their knowledge and sharing their expertise, we have doubts and we think, I don't know enough. I don't have enough certifications. I don't have enough whatever behind my name. Did you have any similar doubts before you began sharing your knowledge and what God gave you to share about overcoming type 2 diabetes?
Yes, one of the things I had was a challenge was even though I'd worked with my husband, I'd worked with individuals who had type 2 diabetes, I was not certified diabetes nurse
Yeah,
as a
there we go.
part of the
Mm-hmm.
system.
Mm-hmm.
So it was not like the system did not put a pat, I had certification in leadership and all that jazz, and
Yeah.
emergency medicine, all of that, but I didn't have that. And so, of course, I started to doubt myself. But
There
more
we go.
importantly, I started to doubt myself because what I was being shown was so different than what I've known.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I had to relearn everything from my perspective, from my nursing perspective, to embrace this new type. So the doubts was overwhelming. And of course, I'm a nurse. I like to just care for people. I'm not into knowing how to set up a business, how
Yeah.
to do this, how to put myself out there. Even this conversation was something I would not have been able to have because I would have such self-doubt. You know what I mean? But I realized that I had my story, but the doubts were overwhelming. And then, of course, you look on social media and you see all these people who look like they're well established, and you're like, who am I? You
Yeah.
know, share this story. How can I help people? And
Mm.
so those were some of the challenges that I was facing.
Yeah.
But things changed.
So you have to tell it because you just someone just that you got our attention now because someone right now is thinking, okay, I can relate to Barbara. I don't feel like I have the certification, right? Or I'm an expert in this area, but not the new thing that I'm forging into. Or even if I'm an expert, I'm not a business expert. And then I look at other people and it feels like everyone's ahead of me and I'm just learning. And so how do you overcome or move forward with the doubts? How have you navigated those doubts and began putting yourself out there and sharing what you know?
Well, I started small. I started like sharing like in church environment, people who wanted me
Hmm.
to talk about health. But more importantly, I started to self-talk. You know,
Okay.
I had to self-talk into me to recognize that each of us are uniquely different. You see, I used to even teach children's baptismal class, and I always tell the kids, you're a masterpiece of God's creation. You're unique in your own ways. But I had to take that message that I was sharing to the kids and those that I was mentoring into my own life. And I had to say my gift is different than the gift that God has given me. And if there's one person that I came on this earth to impact, to make a
Wow.
difference,
Mm.
that's what I was going to do. And one of the verses that I held on to was Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, that we must trust in God with all our heart and that He will guide our steps. So I usually say, you know what, God, I'm thankful that you are the one I'm supposed to trust in because I don't trust in myself right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's that's how I've gotten through. I'm just standing on the fact that I know that I didn't choose this.
Yeah.
God chose it for me. And
Yeah.
even though it was uncomfortable because I was going from a place of security,
Yeah.
being in a nursing as a nurse manager, as a leader in a profession that you're sure of your income, to one where you're depending on the service that you offer. But I
Yeah.
knew the gift that God had given me was a gift that He would have to multiply. And so that's one of the things. And I can't tell you that I'm 100% over that because every now and then, when my vision may shift, I have to put it back to say, what's my purpose? To
Mm.
stay focused, to be absolutely clear on what I'm doing, to keep moving forward.
Barbara, that is so good. And I know you encourage at least one person, me, because I have doubts, right? I think we all have doubts. And the crazy thing, and I think somebody needs to hear this, the people you see who are taking action are not taking action because their doubts are all gone and they have totally crushed doubt. They have totally crushed the questions and the who am I to do this. The people you see taking action are doing it despite the doubt. They're doing it in the face of those questions, in the face of this, is it going to work? Am I the right person? And I think the confirmation, this is another like that story you told, the Joshua story. This is where you got to keep your feet get wet, and then you are seeing the waters open as you're taking action. So don't expect that all of the doubt, all of the questions, all the fear goes away before you take action, but you're taking action even while that stuff is present.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things I've learned along the way and still learning that it's where I focus on. Just like
Mm,
I said, you're always going to have diabetes in this world because there are people who are going to make lifestyle choices that leads to that. You're always going to have doubt in this world until it's no more. So the bottom line is if it's always going to be there, how do you navigate?
right.
It's not doubt will never go away because there's always going to be opportunity for
Yeah.
you to doubt. But are you going to follow that path or are you going to focus on it? You may see it, but you have to redirect your mind to That's not where my focus on. That's not taking me down the path. I am focusing on what I'm focused on and just
Good.
keep.
That's
It's
good.
where
That's
you
good.
keep your focus on.
That's good. No, you like your focus definitely it shows where you it kind of leads where you're going.
Mhm.
Barbara, I'm gonna do a quick plug that next week you'll be doing a webinar, 3 ways to defeat type 2 diabetes that your doctor won't tell you about. 7 p.m. next Thursday at right on Zoom. People have a link there to sign up, and we'll give them the link in a little bit. But I want to ask you a question
Mhm.
because that's that you're talking about things that your doctor won't tell you about. So without giving away the webinar, what's maybe one myth that people believe about type 2 diabetes that you have found from your experience and how you've been helping people? What's one myth that people believe that you want to say, okay, that's not true?
Okay. One of the myths that is slowly breaking down is that this disease is a lifelong disease.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a lifelong disease. And many, there were times when they would say, oh, you have to be on this medication for the rest of your life but just like how they were used, there was a time when you used to say, it's okay to smoke being a pregnant woman. Research has shown that that
Wow.
is not the case.
Mm.
It's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing with type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is not a permanent state of being. It's an
Mm-hmm.
imbalance in how your body processes sugar. So
Okay.
if you can get to the cause, what you see and what you experience are the symptoms. When
Okay.
you get to the cause, then it changes the whole thing. So that perception, it's not lifelong. It's lifestyle, but it's not
Ooh,
lifelong.
okay. Let me say that again for us because that was good. It's
It's
not life.
lifestyle related, but it's not lifelong.
Okay. So
Yeah.
for somebody who's watching this, somebody sent this to you, you watching the replay. That's hope for you, right? That this is not lifelong. This is lifestyle.
Yes.
Okay. So in terms of what's maybe like someone might be saying, okay, but I'm experiencing it as lifelong. I've had it for so long, it feels like it's gonna be with me for forever, right? And so I gotta keep taking the medication, I gotta keep doing all of this stuff. What are just like maybe 2 things you could tell that person? But we're gonna tell them to get to the webinar, but give them some things that they could do even now that they'll start seeing some results that
Well,
maybe they haven't heard about, or maybe it's not that popular to know.
one of the things is stop trusting just the medication.
Mm.
Um, just depending on taking the meds is not going to help you. It
Mm.
requires a lifestyle change of diet, exercise, and choosing the foods that heal and not the foods that steals. And what are the foods that heal? The foods that heal are the food that have the whole gamut in it. I said the whole shit, the whole thing. It means the whole foods. It has all the nutrients. It has the fiber. It has the stuff that needs your body needs to heal. So choosing foods that are whole food, plant based, for the most part, punch a bigger bang for your buck and does more. So one of those things is not depending on just, a lot of people go around saying, you know what, I'm taking my meds as a doctor ordered, I'm checking my blood glucose level, you will always have that disease because that is just addressing the symptoms.
Okay. Okay. That's good. Okay.
That's just addressing the symptoms. So, and then you'll notice every time you go to the doctor, they keep saying, you know what, I'm going to have to increase your medication, or I'm going to start you on a high cholesterol medication, or, your blood pressure is a little high. Because as you address the symptoms brings other symptoms because the cause has not been fixed.
That's good.
So one of the things is that you have to do is not just because you're taking the meds as ordered, believe that the medications are there for a short period of time. It's like having a broken bone, and say,
Mm-hmm.
for instance, you need to wear a cast until the bone heals, then you can kick the cast to the curb and walk on your leg. The medication is supposed to get you over while your body heals, but if you don't give your body what it needs to heal, you'll constantly be stuck in a cast with never having a
Oh,
healing
that's
bone.
good. That's good. That's a great analogy when you think about it, because something that's meant to be temporary, we almost make it like this is permanent. I need to keep
Yes,
this
yes.
forever. Now you mentioned it, and your background, in terms of your nursing background. For those who are just joining, Barbara Samuels is my guest today. She's talking about how to defeat type 2 diabetes and find purpose on the other side of it. and she shares a story about helping her husband and others defeat type 2 diabetes, right? Like, here's the news flash. This is not a lifelong disease, it's a lifestyle disease. But your background being someone from the islands, right? Someone who likes tasty, rich food. I know at least that one of the things that people who might be diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, what you hear is, oh, well, if I'm going to do what you're saying, Barbara, that means my food is not going to be tasty anymore. I can't have any of the stuff that I like. Is that true?
That is so not true. And now Kimoni getting me all excited. Because this is where especially our life above type 2 diabetes makes such a dramatic difference. Because I deal with a lot of Caribbean people background. Yeah. And you see, the difference is you don't have to give up taste to get health.
Say that again, because
you don't have to give up taste to gain health. It's not an if or. It's not. God didn't say I make all these tasty food, but you can't have them. You have to be healthy. He says he wants us to prosper and be in good health as our soul prosper. Our soul prosper, we are happy, right? So the food tastes good. It was made to taste good. So it's not what you eat. It's not how you eat, it's what you eat. Choosing is like choosing the things that provide you not only with the nutrients and the energy, but is satisfying, is tasty. I have clients who are from the islands who are telling me, I never knew I could eat this way and still lose weight and still experience relief. And they are just over the top. Of course, my husband, he's a Jamaican guy. He loves food and he loves a lot of it and he loves it tastes good, right? Yeah. So me to having to make change that now that he's still eating, still enjoying his food. He goes to work and his friends say, your wife cook anything this time? You didn't bring a special. They love the food because you don't have to give up taste to gain health. They are one and the same. So the program teaches you how to use what you have. So we start from a place of knowing to a place of unknowing. So what we mean by that? It means I start from a place where, what are the foods, what you have in your hands? What are the foods that you're used to? Mm-hmm. How can we make them healthy and tasty while at the same time healing? Wow. So that's where I teach individuals how to do. And so now they're enjoying their life. They're not going to family function and like, oh my gosh, what am I going to eat? Everybody. No, because you teach the principles that enable you, to empower you to have fun, enjoy your food, and to take back your life from this disease.
You know, it's so interesting. I feel, rebuked in the right way, because sometimes I'll say this food tasted healthy, which means it didn't taste well, right? But you're saying to us, right? Like, this food, you don't have to give up taste to have health. And I think a lot more people would pursue healthy eating if healthy eating tasted good. And I think what you're saying for people, especially as we're addressing people who might have type 2 diabetes, I want to overcome this. I want to live above it. I want to defeat this thing. You're saying the myth is it's not lifelong, it's lifestyle. And making the adjustment, I don't have to give up something that tastes that I enjoy. And I think that's mind-blowing that's something that you're helping people to understand.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that has made a major difference. And I think that is one of the myths and one of the challenges that most individuals who are type 2 diabetic, and they say, you know what, and I'm not knocking nutritionists, but they say, I have a nutritionist, but the nutritionist will give you a list of food that are recommended, but has nothing to do with your cultural preferences. And so I know my Caribbean people, they do it for 2 days and they're like, enough of this. Because first of all, it's stuff that they don't even know. It's stuff that they're not used to. It's like they're learning. They're trying to get better while they're learning stuff. So we start from a place of knowing to a place where then you can build on. And so that's one of the challenges that most individuals with type 2 diabetes face, is that they are given a cookie cutter approach that doesn't work. It's not that it will work, but if my 70-year-old grandma told that she have to change and you're giving her all these things, she's gonna be like, you know what? I better die happy than to I'm being real.
Yeah, no. I the funny thing is I've heard that, and I've probably thought that way before. You know what? I'll die happy rather than
Yes.
live longer miserable. Yeah.
Yeah, but the bottom line is the truth of the matter is you're not going to die happy, because type 2 diabetes is like a thief. It brings in itself and then it open the back door and the window and let in all of its friends. And so they take over, and now you're unhappy. So you're not happy, you're in pain the rest of your life. And the end part is that you may feel like, oh, it's all good now. But the way that's because it's letting in all the people that needs to come to take over. And then the end part is longer than the beginning. So you may feel good for a few, the long run is going to be worse. So you either pay at the beginning or pay at the end. I always say to people.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Give us one more tip. And again, let me put this up here on the screen for people who are watching. Barbara's doing a webinar next week, and it's lifeabovetype2.com/register. But Barbara, give us one more tip. Give me one more tip that you're not going to share in the webinar, but people don't know this, or it can help people who might be watching this, who might have a family member even who's struggling with type 2 diabetes. What's one other tip that they need to know?
One other tip that you need to know, and this is not necessary, is that our bodies are so uniquely made, in that the right time of day that you eat depends on how well your body manages it. So we have come into this culture to believe, and that we eat this big old heavy meal in the evenings, right? And then we go to bed. But the truth of the matter is, in the evening part is when your body works like how the circadian rhythm, the night and the day. So when you eat those heavy calories and you go to bed, all it does is settles. It settles. And so what happens is your blood sugar is higher than ever. The key thing is, instead of, if you have to eat later, you have to go for maybe a 10-minute walk, or eat the heaviest meals in the mornings where your body is like revved up to go, and you have the rest of the day to move this up. So by the time you go to bed, your body can do what it is intended to do, and that is to heal. You see, at nighttime is when the cleaning and the restoration takes place. But if it's digesting, it will never restore.
Oh, wow. So like, how many hours would you say you would kind of, not like, I know you're not giving hard and fast rules, but what's a good ballpark to say, okay, if I'm going to bed at 10, like how many hours before should I like make sure?
It would be best to eat your meal the latest, so 4 hours.
Okay.
So from 4 hours before you go to bed, so that your body can get, because especially when you have type 2 diabetes, the body needs to repair. You have to give it a chance to repair. So say, for instance, you're going to bed at 10, usually at 6 o'clock would be, so from 6 to 10, that's 4 hours. 3 to 4 hours is best. And you may be like, but I'm going to be hungry.
Yep.
Well, and most people are going to be like, I can't stay that long. If you eat the right foods at that time, it will keep you full up until bedtime. And then if you're hydrated, and we teach you how to eat the right foods and enjoy them, so that you don't feel hungry, and you go to bed and you sleep and you wake up and you feel like you're ready to take on the world, as opposed to feel like, oh my gosh, a truck run over me.
Yep. And I think that's how a lot of us wake up, right? And so the weird part is, I'm so sleepy, I'm so groggy, I'm not going to eat, so I'll start eating later, and then I'm hungry later, and it's a cycle, just keeps going and going.
And the blood sugar makes you tired and groggy. So your high sugar, you may take the insulin and you look at the number and it says, oh, it's better, but it's not really better. It just shows a lower number. So the impact is still happening. So you feel tired. So because the high sugar makes you tired and drowsy, plus you eat late, that makes it even worse. And it's not the eating late, it's about what you eat. 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours is a good time to give your body some rest. But then if you eat the right food at 6, 7 o'clock, you won't even realize you're not hungry.
Yeah. Barbara, this is so good. And next week, Thursday, September 15th, 7 p.m., you're going to be sharing so much more. Yes. 3 ways to defeat type 2 diabetes that your doctor won't tell you about. So if you know someone, make sure, I'm going to put the link in a little bit. Make sure they sign up for this. Barbara, tell us a story about, and you don't have to give names or anything, but just give us someone that you've worked with. You mentioned your husband, but just kind of tell us about how your work has impacted just anyone's life, just anyone you want to just share.
Well, there's so many, but I'm going to share. I'm going to share one that was less than maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and this is one of my clients. And I'll give her a name. Her name was Miss V, right? So Miss V had type 2 diabetes for like 10-15 years. She was doing everything. The doctors she was now on 3 different type of medication. She was high cholesterol, hypertension. She was overweight. She was tired. Her vision was decreasing. Like they had taken away her ability to drive. She wasn't able to see, to read the Bible. And so she heard she was asking a friend, what do you think I can take? And she said, you don't need to take anything. I have someone who you can go to. And so she came and she was ready. She signed up with me. First of all, she was having pain in her legs that lasted every night. It woke her up. After my 2-3 weeks, the pain had gone away. The pain she's had for like 3 years had gone away for good after like 2 weeks. Not only that, she had started losing weight. Now her blood glucose level usually, even with the 3 medication, was like the 200, 300s. She had started on the program, slowly gotten off the medication. In like 7-8 weeks, she was off her meds and her blood sugar was like 120.
Wow. So
she was now having better sugars without the medication. But what really, really just blew my mind away, I live in Fort Lauderdale and she lived like up in West Palm, Naples area. And we were having a health fair. And she decided that she needed to calm down because she had gone back to the doctor before. And the doctor said to her, what happened? Your vision is restored. You can see. What is happening? She's like, then she calls me, she says, I can read my Bible. And not only that, when I'm reading, it's like the words are jumping off the screen. No, I understand everything. I am not sleepy. She was super excited. So I was at the health fair and she turns up. And there comes this big old smile. She's lost like 20-30 pounds, big old smile. She's seeing clearly. She's reading clearly. She's telling me the doctor restored her sight. She had to drive how many hours just to show herself to me and that, I mean, it brought tears to my eyes because I was like, that is what you call living life above. So I call her. So now I said, my clients are not just reversed, but they're overcomers.
I love it.
They're overcomers. Yeah. And so she is now off meds. She's off her hypertension meds because now her blood pressure is better. She is off all of her 3 diabetic medications.
Wow.
Lost almost 30 pounds and tell me she's not hungry. She's never hungry.
Wow. Listen, Barbara, I think I speak for a lot of people that want to say thank you for the work that you're doing with people. I can only imagine if you had listened to those doubts and gave into those doubts and, allowed the fear to overshadow. Think about those stories, that the ones that you share with Miss V and other clients, that those lives would not be changed. And I think for someone who's watching this, you have your area of expertise may not be health, right? It may be relationship, it may be wealth, it may be something else. But just like Barbara is changing lives by sharing despite the fear, you have the same potential to change lives and see people like just come alive in different ways that they didn't even think possible. And so, Barbara, I think you are inspiring us, one, with the work you're doing, but also just you being you and stepping out is inspirational to me and to others to let us know, hey, you don't have to have it all together, and you might have the fear, and you might even see others who are doing it and have been doing it longer. But I think there's a calling for us to do what God has called us to do, for the people he's called us to do it for. And then we will discover our purpose and things become clearer as we do it. Anything you want to say in reflection on that?
And one of the things, I'm going to be totally honest, that when you start the journey, you just know what God has called you to do. You may and you know the focus. I always say focus on the finish line, focus on the purpose. The hows, working out the details in between comes along the way. God
Mhm.
sends people in your path to help you to navigate those areas. One of them, of course, is Mr. Kimon, who was able to help me navigate the hows and how to navigate those murky areas that I didn't. My focus was on the purpose, and he sends people along your way to help you. So one of the things you have to remember, that there is no two you. He's never made any two people. And
Mm.
the work that I am set here to do, you can't do it. The work that you are set here to do, I can't do it. The hand, no matter how beautiful and well manicured it can be, it is not the eyes. It
Wow.
cannot be the eyes. Its purpose is to hold things and touch things. The eyes is to see. So each of us have our own unique gifts. And it says our gifts will make room for us. And there's somebody who's on this earth who's specifically here for your gifts.
Wow.
And nobody else can give it, because you have been designed and you have all the equipment to reach that person, and nobody else can. And so when you don't do that, you're depriving that individuals of the gift. And God, and then you may die and gone, and all that treasures is now in the grave, never used.
Oh, that's so good. No, no, no. And that's a encouragement to someone. Think about how interconnected we are. You just gave the example of the body, right? And the eyes and the hands. What's interesting is the knowledge Barbara is sharing. Yes, it's blessed her family, but it's also for people way beyond her circle, people who will just know her because of this work. But your knowledge is also for other people. And the interesting thing is, I may need something. Someone watching this, you might know. You may not think you have all the certifications. You may not think you have all of this stuff, but God is giving you something, either through your experience, your expertise, your education, yes, whatever you've gone through, you have something. And maybe I need it. And I'm asking you, don't sit on the thing that you have. You need to do something with it. You need to package it. You need to put it out there. You need to begin sharing it, even in small ways, as Barbara said. Share it with a group at her church. Share it with a small group of people or with some friends. But don't sit on it. Begin making moves to put it out there.
Yes. And one of the things too I wanted to share is that it will not grow unless you use it.
That's good.
It's only as you use it. I've learned, it's like you try to cook a meal or try to cook a new recipe, and you follow the recipe, but it doesn't come out so right. But when you do it next time, you learn what not to put too
That's
much of
right.
this,
Yeah,
not so every day you get better.
it's
But
good.
practice makes you improve. By doing it, it becomes clearer. So you have to shut down those doubts.
It's good.
Know that your gift is being given to be deployed to somebody so it can be used.
That's good. I'm going to put this link up here on the screen. It's register.livingallalive.com. Register.livingallalive.com. Next Thursday, Barbara is doing a webinar, 3 ways to defeat type 2 diabetes that your doctor won't tell you about. Listen, if you like behind the scenes stuff, if you like stuff that, okay, I won't, this is some secret stuff here. This is but this is tried and true stuff. This is stuff that people have used and it's helped them to improve their life, to get their life back, to get their dream and their joy back, and to be able to experience it with the people they love without having to give up taste, right? Like,
Yes.
if that's important to you, or you know someone, because I know someone right now. This may not be your story, so don't feel like, okay, well, I'm gonna, this is not for me, but you know someone, because I mean, in terms of percentages, we know a lot of people suffer with this disease. People, especially in our communities, and they don't have the knowledge, right? They don't have a Barbara in their community. They may not know Barbara, but you are logging on. You're watching this replay now for a reason. So you need to send them this link, register.livingallalive.com, register.livingallalive.com. You have a chance to dive deep with Barbara into those 3 ways to defeat type 2 diabetes that your doctor won't tell you about, and ask questions. I think that's what I've loved about seeing you on your webinars, Barbara, and on different platforms. You're not, there's some people who are knowledgeable when they just share, but you're knowledgeable when people ask questions. So if you have questions, if you know someone who needs this, send them to this website, register.livingallalive.com. Barbara, I'm going to give you the final word. Tell someone who may not have hope, right, for different reasons, right? So you're going to speak to maybe someone who is living with this disease. They've tried other things. They've lost hope. Or maybe someone who's lost hope that their idea, their expertise can build a business. What would you say to encourage those people to help them get some hope as we end off?
One of the things I want to tell you, you have to not depend. So each of us, as I said, have been given different gifts, but how we access those gifts is not, it will not just come to us. We have to step out there, right? And even if you've tried something 50 million times, that's my big word. I like to say, if you tried it 50 million times and it seems like it's not working, do not give up. Because the gift, listen, the gift that you have been given must be deployed. It will be buffeted. It will, listen, if it is something to make a difference in people's lives, believe me, you are going to have to fight. Fight with your focus. So you can't give up. You have to know that this is a gift, especially when it's a gift to serve others.
Yeah.
When it is to serve others, it means you're going to be snatching victory out of the jaws of defeat for somebody.
Yeah.
Right? And if you have been suffering with type 2 diabetes, I share with you with Miss V, right? But then there's another client of mine who, this lady was in a nursing home for 1.5 years.
Oh.
She had a stroke. And she said she saw this thing on the social media, and she knew in her heart that I was supposed to help her. She saw that. Not only did she beat type 2 diabetes, but her weakness in her leg improved. Now she has lost like 50 pounds. She is one of my biggest supporters. I can't keep her quiet. She will not stay quiet. So what I'm saying is, don't say, you know what, I've had this for such a long time. And she had a stroke. She had 2 strokes on top of that. And she's walking, running.
Wow.
For hemoglobin A1C went from 10 point something. She was in the hospital. Now it's 5.4. She's calling me. Oh, the doctor, they're asking me, what did I do? So don't look and say, I've had this for a while. There's no hope. The only time you have no hope is when you're stopped to exist and you're dead.
That's good.
As long as you're breathing.
Yeah.
As long as, if you're hearing this moment, it's saying that you see, nothing happens without a purpose. If you're hearing this, there is a reason why you are hearing this. It's because there is something in it just for you. You have to choose. Am I going to take it? I'm going to stretch out my hands of faith and unlock that door that is right before me? Or am I just going to settle with a belief that has been fed to me for so long and suffer a death, pass on a legacy to my family that I am not an overcomer? Let my children believe that they're going to die of type 2 diabetes or no way? Or am I going to say, you know what, I am going to pass a legacy of health that I'm an overcomer? So this darn disease does not pass on to my children and my grandchildren.
Yeah, it's good. Barbara, listen, we're going to add preacher to the end of your nurse, health coach, and preacher. We're going to put preacher at the end of that. But Barbara, thank you so much for sharing. For those, again, go to register.livingallalive.com. Share this link. Text it, post it, whatever you need to do, because we believe that the solutions to a lot of the problems people face are in the minds and the hearts of others. And Barbara is stepping out and sharing, and you can go look on this page, register.livingallalive.com, and you'll see testimonies upon testimonies of people that she's helped. And this is not This is not one person, two people. There are people on who have that testimony, and we don't want people to not get the information because you didn't share it with them. So go to register.livingallalive.com. Barbara, thank you so much for sharing. It has been my pleasure to join you on this journey of getting your idea out into the world, creating your offer, putting it out there, and continue to share your message. And those of you who are listening, if you got a message, hit me up. I want to help you get yours out there as well. And you all have a good rest of your evening. Y'all take care.
And I can tell you, just as before you go, that Kimon is truly someone who will help you get there. When you can't see, he will help you, show you clarity and bring those ideas to life that you'll be like, oh, I didn't realize that. Take the step of faith, move forward.
Thank you. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you. Take care. And you all have a good